What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Devon Johnson. This is the Showtime Forum post-game report for the Lakers tonight, who had an embarrassing loss tonight in Boston as we lose 107-139 to our East Coast rivals. And it was one of those games that you really wish you could just forget. You wish you could throw it out of your memory bank. You wish you could delete the tapes. This was an absolute blowout, and it really wasn't close. After the energetic first start off of the game, and we had a good lead. Once we lost that lead, it was pretty much a train wreck from that point on. We looked like a team that had not figured it out. This very much felt like last year post LeBron injury, the last 6 years. And it was very traumatizing for a lot of us. A lot of us have never wanted to go back to that place in the Laker history, but tonight we had a flashback to that. The difference was that we didn't have young kids who were trying to figure it out. We had savvy veterans who up to this point had only lost 8 games into the halfway point of the season. And tonight, this was an absolute disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And I have really no other way to put it outside of this, that we are in need of games like these. The issue is how do we respond to games like these? We have lost some games. We lost to the Clippers, of course, and things like that. But we've also been, just to be honest, we've been a little bit complacent on the idea that once we get down, we can come back. We've done that multiple times this season, where we just came out lazy. And I remember, like, when I was watching that beginning, that opening sequence, when we threw that lob to JaVale and we built that lead. I think we had like a 10-0 run in the very beginning. And I remember thinking to myself, this is not going to end well, because normally we are down 0-10 and then we'll come back and win by 20. But tonight, for some reason, it's like we use up all of our energy in the first 15 minutes. And it was just absolutely horrible. Anthony Davis played like a player who hadn't played in 5 games. He scored a total of 9 points, played 23 minutes tonight. Of course, he was on a minute restriction, and even that wasn't even really reached, because by the fourth quarter, it was already over. He shot 3 of 7, and he really just wasn't too much of a threat there. He did have 2 blocks, and he's always going to get blocks here and there. But scoring 9 points for Anthony Davis, a man who also put up a 50-burger, put up 40 and 20. You can tell that he was not completely right. And not only that, you could tell how it affected those who had gotten into a rhythm with him being gone for so many games. The Troy Daniels, the Kyle Kuzmas, even KCP for that matter. With having Rondo out, with having AD out, and having them both come back at the same time, it was very obvious that our offense was not set for that. We also were horrible on defense, and a lot of it was falling back and resting into the idea that AD is just going to block and be there. But with AD being on a minutes restriction, and AD not having the stamina and being up into game shape, and he's forcing himself back on a road trip, he was not the defender that we know him to be. And so tonight it was just one of those games where you absolutely wish you didn't have to watch it. But I sat through it, and I know it's going to be a very quick show tonight. I'm not gonna harp on it. We're gonna go through some stats. We're gonna talk about things that went wrong. No, really, come on. I'm just jumping into the chat real quick to knock these out. Watching from area code 703. Well, man, thank you for watching from VA. My brother from another mother, Ray El Babon, says, bless your heart for being here after that abysmal performance. Stay up, Dev. I'm trying to take it out on my kids, man. My kids are over next door. My son had basketball practice, so I'm watching the first quarter while he's at basketball practice. I'm getting juiced. And then we hop in the car, we drive home real quick, and by halftime, I'm looking at the score, and I'm lost. I don't understand what's happening. And then I watch the third quarter, and then I get to the fourth, and they're like, I'm like, everybody going to bed, because I couldn't take it, man. Glad you're back, bro. Let's help the fans. Jonathan Watson, my bro. Let's do it, man. Infamous Diva 7. I'm at work tonight, gonna watch on YouTube. Hey, do your thing. I'm glad you guys always know that you can always watch these on YouTube, and of course they'll be uploaded to our podcast if you have not subscribed. So let's talk about what we saw tonight, and let's get this over with. Let's just go ahead and pull off the Band-Aid and look at how bad the wound really is. The point totals for tonight were absolutely horrible. Anthony Davis with 9 points, LeBron James with 15. Our leading scorer of the entire team was JaVale McGee with 18 points. Now, while I love JaVale getting his, if he's going to be the leading scorer on a road game against a rival, then you already know that you're losing the game. And it's no discredit to him, and it's no shade to JaVale, but the way this team is constructed, there is no reason why JaVale McGee should have 18 points and LeBron has 15 and AD has 9. Avery Bradley came in. He actually did contribute a little bit. He was 4 of 7. He had 8 points. And Danny Green was just not himself. He had been hitting shots, but he only hit 7 points tonight. He was 2 of those 6 of those points were the 2 3-pointers that he made out of the 6 attempted. And so it was just bad. Kyle Kuzma was thoroughly outplayed. Now, a lot of us have heard this conversation between Brandon Ingram and between Jason Tatum and Kyle Kuzma. A lot of these young players who come in and who are able to do things. And you can tell that Kyle Kuzma, while he has the ceiling that is high and he's able to do a lot, and if he gets going, he is a threat. He fundamentally does not have the consistency of a Brandon Ingram or a Jason Tatum, and it showed tonight. Even Jaylen Brown showed a little bit more consistency. And so part of it is because of injury, and we know this. Part of it is just because he's just been injured, and he's constantly fighting through injuries. But yet and still, him being in the league, being on this team, he was kept for a reason. And right now, he has been up and down and inconsistent. And on a game like tonight, it really is kind of unfair to ask him to be the consistent scorer when you have LeBron there. AD is coming back. Rondo was back, and you're asking other people to facilitate, ball handle, and to score. It was obvious that the chemistry tonight was not together. In fact, it would have been better, just to be honest, to have kept Anthony Davis off or Rondo out. Bringing them both back into a lineup where they've both been absent for multiple games and asking the offense to go back into what it was prior to the run that we've been on is just unfair. And so tonight just wasn't good. So I will say this. I completely believe that this is a blip that is meant to show us what we need to work on. Once again, as bad as this loss is, this is not indicative of what the playoffs are going to be, or if we were to play them in a 7-game series where we get blown off the court every night. Absolutely not. What it does say is what needs to change. Let's not forget when Kobe got blown out in the finals on the Celtics floor. He came back the next season. They reconstructed some things. They came in with a different mindset, and they were good. Of course, we're going to be playing the Celtics again, and what we're going to be looking for, it'll be post-trade deadline, I believe. And so that means that we're going to have an opportunity to make some adjustments. Of course, there's rumors about Derrick Rose and, of course, Darren Collison and things like that. But the real issue is not so much the point guard. That's been a glaring weakness since day one. But what we really need to figure out is how do we keep the offense flowing with or without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And what happens is that when you bring a LeBron and an Anthony Davis back in together, there's a certain offensive set that you have to run. Because of the way AD plays and because of the way that LeBron plays, that there's a certain way that you're going to have to run. You run with a little bit of a slower pace. When you don't have AD on the floor, you run with a quicker pace. And so adding them back into the mix, adding AD back into the mix causes LeBron to play different. It causes Kuzma to play different. It causes Troy Daniels, Quinn Cook, everybody that we've seen kind of have great games over the last 4 or 5 games. It causes things to be different. It does not mean that we're better with Anthony Davis off the floor. What it does mean is that we have to be much more cognizant about how we're going to make these offenses be fluid to be able to run with AD on and with AD off. Tonight, Frank Vogel made another adjustment for a longer period of time than what the Lakers are used to. He ran AD at the 5 early. Trying to get things going. He subbed out JaVale McGee, who still was our leading scorer, even though he was subbed out. We ran Anthony Davis at the 5, and it just wasn't helping. Tonight just was not helping. There really were no moments where it felt like the Lakers were building into something. Every single quarter, the Boston Celtics had plus 30 points. That lets us know that our defense was just atrocious tonight. For us to score 107 is not so much the issue. Letting somebody score almost 140 is very bad when you hang your hat on defense. And tonight we just couldn't get it going. First quarter, Boston had 33, then 36, then 35 and 35. That's just unacceptable. The point totals for Boston were just insane. If you really want to look at it from a standpoint of just consistency's sake, Tatum had 27, Walker had 20, Jaylen Brown had 20, Gordon Hayward had 16, and that was just their starting lineup. Off the bench, they had Cantor, who had 18. And so there you see Cantor and JaVale McGee basically canceling each other out, which means that the rest of the game was going to be left up to people that you should be able to trust. You should be able to trust LeBron to score plus 20 on the road against Boston. You should be able to trust that Anthony Davis can come back and at least give you 15 to 20 with a few rebounds. He did have some rebounds tonight, but nowhere near what we needed from him. He had 4 rebounds tonight, and he had 2 assists with 2 blocks and a steal. That's fine as a warm-up. But what we're looking for on this next game, as we head into the next game that we're getting ready for, we need our players to become much more consistent with the offense that we've had that built us this huge cushion of wins in the standings. So let me get back to this because I'm hoping I don't get upset with myself. Blake St. Clair, good to see you, bro. Things that went wrong tonight. Everything. Absolutely. And guys, let me just give you a little bit of hope, okay? And I know I'm going to sound like a Laker homer, but I am what I am. These games are going to happen. It has happened to every championship team that you can think of. There has been a game that you know they should have won, or they should have at least been better prepared for, and they weren't. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I truly believe this team will make the adjustments. Let's not forget that a lot of what is happening right now, we are already ahead of schedule based upon what normality says in the NBA. When you add this many, you have a complete roster turnover, brand new coaches, a new front office. You add in 2 superstars who don't normally play together. You really should not, in the first year, be 33-9 or 34-9, whatever we are right now. What are we, 34-9? You really shouldn't be that this far into the season. You really shouldn't. And so there's going to be moments where we see these obvious issues, okay? And they're going to come up. Listen, the Celtics had lost like 3 or 4. Okay, so they came back with a vengeance. They were ready. I know we're looking at Houston Rockets, and we're like, well, how do we beat the Rockets and lose to the Celtics? The Rockets are not as good as most people think they are. They have a tremendous duo of Westbrook and Harden. But if you shut down one and let the other one go, they're going to lose that game. It's already been shown. We saw it today. Houston lost again today. So what you want to know is that, what you want to look at is, where are we headed? What's the trend? We know that we are actively looking for trades. Everybody knows it. We're looking to upgrade at positions. So players know that they're on watch to get traded. We know that. We know that this is not going to be the roster that's going to be come playoff time. So we know that. So we know that there are some upgrades that are going to happen. We know there are some weaknesses that we have. And it's gonna peak up. And kudos to the Celtics tonight. This is probably the one time in my life I'll ever say that, but they took advantage of where our weaknesses lie tonight. And Brad Stevens made it known. He made it known going into this game that he was going to be creative with his schemes. And we did not have the defensive schemes to be able to hang up with it. We tried to go 2-3 zone, and they ate us up at the mid-range once we did that. We were horrible on the offensive rebounding end. The second chance points, the turnovers, it was just absolutely horrible tonight. So when you say everything went wrong, Blake St. Clair, you are absolutely correct. Now, with that being said, we had 15 turnovers to their 12 turnovers, okay? So once again, you're looking at a blowout that wasn't so much built upon just the amount of turnovers, but what we did with those turnovers and the point differential and how many points they got off of our 15 turnovers versus the amount of points that we got off of our 12 turnovers were absolutely horrible. Okay, they shot 65% from the free throw line, which you would actually want. You would think that when the team shoots 10% lower than your team, that you have a pretty good chance of winning at the free throw line. We shot 75% from the free throw line. And in actuality, we shot the same amount of free throws. We both had 29 free throws, so there was no disparaging there. But here's where we really got ate up. They shot 16 of 34 for 47% from the three-point line, while we shot 26%, 7 of 26. So we didn't put up as many shots, but we didn't make nearly as many as they did. They also shot 55% from the field. We shot 43. So when you start thinking about roster adjustments, what you're looking for is, how do we pick up the ability to keep our three-point shooting up and on par with the opposition, as well as making sure that we're having efficient shots so that our field goal percentage can at least be in line with that. You can live with your turnover battle because you can overcome that. You can even live with the free throws going back and forth. That's fine. But if you can't keep the three-point line defended well, and you can't keep them shooting a higher percentage, as high as they did, they almost shot, really, to be honest with you, they almost shot 56%, which is huge for the amount of shots they took. They took 93 shots tonight, and they were almost 50, almost 60%, if you want to put it in that term. That you have to find players that are able to give you a better shooting percentage without sacrificing on the defensive end. People that I'm thinking about are people like Rondo. Tonight, Rondo, and God bless him, he came back tonight. He was 5 of 9. He was 13 points. That was great. But he is such a liability on defense. He is such a liability on defense. And he does make some plays that just do not make sense. He had only 2 turnovers tonight, which is fine, but he played 20 minutes, so you can average that out to a turnover every 10 minutes. But the offense just feels completely different when he's running it. The ball does not move as fluidly. He tries to make. There's a couple of turnovers. Both of his turnovers that he made were him trying to make silly passes, like behind the back or trying to bounce pass when he shouldn't have bounced pass. These are things that we got to clean up. What I also did not like was that tonight Anthony Davis had 5 personal fouls. We pride ourselves as a defensive team at being able to block shots, run people off the line into the middle, and prevent baskets without fouling. But tonight we lost the discipline of the straight up hands. We lost the discipline of defensive rotations. And so we were getting beat, often trying to catch up and recover, and often fouling. And so tonight was just a bad representation. I do not think this represents who the team is. I think it represents the places that we need to fix. All right, Al Sakusa, good to see you. Cantor ate McGee up. Well, they actually came out even, to be honest with you. Where Cantor really beat him up at was on the rebounding side. He had 11 rebounds while McGee only had 5. And so if you're talking about that is very true. When it came down to second chance opportunities, getting those offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, he ate him up. But to be honest, McGee has not really been that. That's what we depend on Dwight Howard for. Dwight Howard is a much better rebounder, in my opinion, than McGee. What we look for McGee to be is not only a shot blocker, as he had the last 2 games, 2 tremendous blocks that were really like SportsCenter top 10 moments, but he also is able to run the pick and roll well, as we saw in the very first play. He understands his ability to rim run. Dwight Howard is much more of a rebounder. He does shot block, but much more of a putback guy, second chance point opportunity guy, grab the rebound, do dirty work. That's really where he's at, okay? And so you see the 2 centers. But tonight, Cantor had his way. And a lot of it, to be honest, it just felt like the whistles were unnecessary. And this goes back to my rant from the other night. It's so inconsistent with the referees. You really don't know what you're doing. That does not excuse how the Lakers played tonight. But just overall, in the NBA, it's hard to watch a game and know what the refs are going to call. And so tonight, it was just one of those things where he got called consistently. Anthony Davis got called consistently. Look at the people that we had. LeBron James had 4 turnovers tonight. And he was he was the leader in turnovers for the Lakers. When your guy, LeBron James, who played almost 30 minutes tonight, goes 5 of 12, has the most turnovers, is a negative 21 in the plus minus, you're probably not going to win that game. In fact, it would have been better to bench him and have him play less minutes tonight, based upon how it was going. Casey Armstrong, infamous diva, here. Good to see you, Jay Jeters Leo. This was a bad loss, bro. But got to just move on to the next one. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's nothing that we can say that would make this game feel like we did anything right. We did nothing right. The coaching wasn't well. The rebounding, assists were not up there. Turnovers were atrocious. Wide open threes were missed. We were just not the same team. And this is what I do love about this team, okay? There was I don't know if we forgot, but there was a 4-game losing streak that we had over a period of time. During that 4-game losing streak, one of the things Jared Dudley said was that the mentality of the team did not change. It didn't change. They didn't become overly anxious. They didn't become fearful. They didn't collapse. They came back with the same swagger and started rattling off wins. That's what I do like about this team. This bad loss is going to hurt. They're going to digest it, and they are going to move on. And I promise you, on the plane, they're going to be already planning for the next team. They're going to be looking at film tonight, looking at all the places they went wrong, and they're going to come out with the same swag. They're going to come out with that same intensity because they know this. It's about the long haul. It's about the long haul. And right now, just to be honest with you, the Lakers have a much better chance at the finals than the Celtics do in the East. And I know that sounds crazy because it's the Celtics and they're doing so well. But when you look at the National Basketball League, when you're looking at it, what you do know is this: you know that the top three teams in the league are the Bucks, the Lakers, and the Clippers. Tonight has not changed that mentality. All it does say is that when we get to the playoffs, teams now have a blueprint of things that can get at us. For instance, we know that teams like Orlando, who have size and athleticism, shout out to Lakers Film Room, to our guy Pete Zayas, check out that video. He talks about why Orlando was able to do against us what they did. So teams know that athleticism and size is a problem for us. And tonight, we also know that if you catch us with intensity that's sustained over a period of time, then you're going to catch us. One of the things about the Celtics is that they're actually pretty deep, okay? They actually have a pretty decent roster that can run pretty deep. Once again, Cantor scoring 18 points tonight, now that was off the bench. So they have depth. Most teams don't have the depth. So they give us a problem in the beginning, but by the time we get to the third and fourth quarter, our depth overtakes theirs, and we're able to outlast them. But one of our glaring weaknesses is if you can go punch toe-to-toe, we're going to have a problem, right? It's the same thing that happened with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was tremendous until they learned that with Buster Douglas, if you can go rounds with him and get him tired, then that's where his weakness was. And that's when you started seeing Tyson losing fights after that because people exploited the weakness. For the Lakers, now that their weaknesses have been exploited, they have to find a way to patch up these holes, get those parts reinforced and reassured so that when the team goes in and teams try to scheme against them, the places that they think are weaknesses are no longer weaknesses. For instance, point guard depth. They know that when LeBron is not running point, they're going to be able to get at us and make runs. If we have a Derrick Rose or a Darren Collison, that obviously changes that. Y'all forgive me because my kids are in the back and they're super crunk right now. So forgive me if you can hear them in the background. Celtics made 16 3-point shots compared to the Lakers 7. Yeah, Lakers were absolutely horrible. They were 7 of 26, I believe. Yeah. So we talked about that earlier. Just the percentage of shooting was just bad. It was just bad. And it's not an excuse about being on the road. This has nothing to do with being on the road. This has everything to do with focus and intensity. And tonight they just didn't have it. I thought AD looked apprehensive and not physical. Acoustic. I don't think AD is fully healthy. That's not an excuse because the minute you step on that floor, you're telling me you're ready to play. I really think, and I said this earlier, I think they should have held AD out a little bit longer. Bring Rondo back, sure, and take a game or two to get him, back into acclimated to the game so that the offense can figure itself out. Adding Rondo because he does not play like Troy Daniels, Quinn Cook. He doesn't play like AC, like Alex Caruso. When Quinn Cook is in and he's running the point, what we've noticed over the last few games is that he runs the pick and roll well. And if he gets to the mid-range, he's solid. Okay, that's pretty much his go-to place. And he has a pretty good handle. Rondo will dribble until he sees something, which is different. Point guards need to be able to shot create, which opens up the floor, and then be able to make a decision. That's not what Rondo does. Rondo is not a shot creator. If he's not going to the hole for a layup, and they'll leave him wide open for a three, they'll leave him open for mid-range, okay? So it's a matter of... it's just more of a matter of for us being able to find somebody who can shore up those spaces. But for Rondo coming in and AD coming in, you're running two opposite offenses. You're just running two completely different offenses. Okay, you have AD who you have to pass down low. You slow down the pace. You have Rondo who's going to over dribble. So I would have brought one of them back and then implemented the second person to try to stagger that off and let AD get fully healthy. Because tonight there is no possible way that you can tell me that AD was fully healthy with 9 points on the board. Acoustic, I am back to trading Kuzma. I think the reason why we're back to that is because of the consistency. I don't think anybody argues that he has the ability to score at a high pace. I mean, he just had 30 not too long ago. So he has the ability to score. Our issue is that in moments like these where you're up against your contemporaries, against your Jason Tatums, your Jaylen Browns, and you're not able to produce, you're not aggressive. Your handle is not as strong as theirs. You haven't worked on your technique. Your post game is nowhere near. For most of Kuzma's game, it has to be quick decisions from the three, or he has to be cutting for a pass, or getting to the hoop for that floater against the backboard and a foul. Outside of that, he doesn't have the real true fundamentals that a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum has. Now, there's a lot of argument about who's better, but in this offense, Jason Tatum would have served a little bit better. I know that sounds so blasphemous, but these are the reasons why Kuzma is a legitimate threat to be traded. Okay? And not only that, other teams could utilize his skill set better than what the Lakers can in the current offense that they have. Will he get traded? I honestly don't know. For someone like a Derrick Rose, all you would need is 2 minimum contracts to get that done. And because he's only getting paid $7 million, right? So like for us, it's not a big deal. But I don't know. You're talking about chemistry, you're talking about needs. So we don't know. We don't know how that's going to work. Leonard H. Buchanan, interior D and rebounding was terrible. Need a point guard. I think we all have seen that. That's absolutely true. That's what we need. Okay. Bradley was off as well. He couldn't make a shot. Actually, I don't think so. Bradley was 4 of 7, and he had 8 points. The issue that he had was he contributed nothing else really. He had 2 assists and he had a rebound. Okay, he really didn't do anything else. Like he didn't really do a great job defensively. He only played 23 minutes. He didn't do a great job defensively. He kind of did an okay job. You know, I'm not going to say he did terrible, but obviously when you look at the score, everybody's defense was off. But his scoring was fine. We don't need Avery Bradley for scoring, though. Now when you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the floor, we really shouldn't need him for that. We needed KCP tonight. KCP only had 7 points. That's not good. We don't want that. That's not good. We need KCP once again to be in the double-digit category. We need Kuzma to be in the double digits, and he was tonight with 13 points. We need Anthony Davis and LeBron James to be in that 20 and 30 point category, right? And so all of these things have to be necessary for us to do it. So we have to have great defense. We need to have at least 4 players that are in the 20 to 30 or double-digit category, and we need blocks and we need rebounds. When we have those things in place, we are solid. We are solid. But tonight we did not have it. Alsa Kusic, Bradley was off as well. He couldn't make a shot. I'm sorry. Marquise Smith, who was the pound of flesh we should ask for? I don't know. You guys gotta tell me, man. If we trade Kuz, we should just talk to Memphis then. Maybe. I mean, to be honest with you, he wouldn't work well in Memphis either. With John Morant being the primary ball handler, it's just not a good fit. Kuzma is a very specific skill set. He's not a Lou Williams because he's not consistent like Lou Williams, but he needs the ball like Brandon Ingram. You know what I mean? So it's a really weird fit, and so you would have to find the right team. Plenty of teams would go for it and experiment with it at least because his contract is attractive. But for Memphis, you can't do that trade, number one, because the money doesn't match. Because Andre Iguodala is getting paid so much money, you'd have to empty out way more than Kuz to make that happen, and the Lakers are not going to eliminate their depth for that. Not especially when they still believe that Memphis is going to do a buyout. Remember, with the Memphis thing, the closer it gets to the trade deadline, the more likely they are to cut him or to pay him out, to buy him out, because they're looking for trade. They're looking for trade. And the more it looks like they're not going to be able to trade, the more they're going to be willing to just buy him out. Especially the way the Grizzlies are playing. They're playing well, which means you really don't need Iguodala. You're not a playoff team, but your rebuild is going faster than expected. Of course, trading would be great because you'd be able to get some players back, but you probably won't be able to do that. So we'll see what happens. They need to figure out how to stop the three. The Lakers, primarily defensively, I know it looks crazy every time, especially tonight when we let them shoot 45%, I believe it was, 47% from three. Primarily, as far as statistically goes, we're not that bad. We're about middle of the pack when it comes down to defending the three. So we're not atrocious. It just looks that way because we run a defense that values the middle, which is really crazy because we've been watching Golden State for 5 or 6 years shoot the lights out. So it's always been like 3-point, 3-point, 3-point. But the truth is we've won majority of these games letting people shoot threes because we value the inside, because we funnel everybody in. The idea for our defense, and this is the primary roles that we play, is that because we have two bigs, we're able to send people in, to run people off the line, send them in, and force them to either make a bad decision because they don't want to see Anthony Davis or JaVale or Dwight, or they try their hardest to score on Anthony Davis, JaVale, or Dwight, and they fail. That is what we've been relying upon to make things happen defensively. And tonight, it just wasn't there because they were relying on Anthony Davis to be the defensive anchor, and he was not that tonight. So they were able to get their threes off and score in the middle, which is where they were able to score 139 points, which is just, it's making me mad just looking at it. I don't know if I can still trust D Rose. He's my guy. Dang, bro. I don't know. I know his numbers right now. He's plus 20 on his average. He looks like a renewed man. And somebody brought this up, and this is worth talking about. D Rose with LeBron James. We've seen this experiment before in Cleveland, and it did not go well at all. In fact, part of that run Cleveland had was after they traded D Rose and Dwayne Wade. But this is a different D Rose. That D Rose in Cleveland, and even that whole entire season, this is a different D Rose. He's very consistent. He's a playmaker. He makes great decisions. And what's great about this is that it was almost like he's kind of utilizing the same role in Detroit. He would be doing that here with his own unit, off the bench, without the pressure and without the necessity of having to play big minutes. We need him to have consistent minutes, not big minutes, which means if he plays 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even 23 minutes, that is perfect for D Rose, perfect for his health, perfect for his efficiency. And let's not forget, even though he has 2 bad knees, the man can still play. He's still got it, okay? But, we'll see. Drop Dudley, re-sign Stevenson. The last thing you need on this team, hear me out. Who was that? Sober Wonder. The last thing you need on this team is Lance Stevenson. That's the last person you need is Lance Stevenson. I know he's doing great things overseas, but he would not be doing that in today's NBA. I just want to let you know that. He's another ball stopper. We don't need that. He can score, but once again, we need somebody who's able to score and somebody who is able to at least have defend a little bit. And I know D Rose is not a great comparison for a defender, but Stevenson would not be that person. Drop Rondo, get Collison. Yes, I do believe, to be honest, I do believe, dropping Rondo would be a little bit harder because his contract is different than Quinn and Troy. And plus he's loved by LeBron and he's loved by AD. Not to say that that's the reason why they wouldn't do it, but I'm saying that that's a thing to factor in. I think you'll probably see more of a Quinn Cook get dropped for a Collison before you'd see a Rondo. That's my thought. I haven't heard anything about that, but we'll see. Defense has been sliding for a while. A big part of that was no AD, but it's not a good sign regardless. Blake St. Clair. Yeah. Defense has been our thing that we've been able to hang our hat on. AD's been out, and part of me is happy. Part of me is happy that he was out because we actually found out how good Troy Daniels can be from 3. We found out Quinn Cook has possibilities. He has moments. He's obviously a streaky shooter, but he's not as bad as we thought he was in the beginning of the season. And we also gave him rest that he's going to need for later on. So, re-sign Swaggy P, Sober Wonder. Man, you are throwing some people out there that I'm like, bro, I don't think you talk about Rondo being no, you don't want to invite somebody in who literally hasn't been playing in the NBA for I don't know how long it's been. You don't want that. I know Collison has been out, but Collison left on his own terms. Swaggy just didn't get re-signed. And that's very telling if NBA teams are like, no. Even with Jamal Crawford, I'm like, yo, Jamal Crawford's a scorer. That's great. But we need somebody who's able to play defense. Defense. JaVale got points in garbage time. The Maria show. That's very true. He had 18 points. Still, he should not be the leading scorer. I don't care how many, when he played his minutes. He should not be the leading scorer on this team. I saw LBJ angry on the court in the game. That's typically a sign. Heads will roll. Probably, Marquise Smith. Probably. You're probably going to see some issues that pop up. I don't think it's going to be anything dramatic. I think he's learned his lesson from that. But I also don't think you're going to see a Cleveland situation where literally everybody was swapped out. Everybody was traded. And they had a whole new roster come in with Kobe Altman when he was the GM over there. I don't think you're going to see a huge turnover like that. I think there's just some people that have been on the radar. My personal opinion, I think LeBron has been having some conversations with Rob Pelinka. I think there have been discussions about if we do trade, who would you like to see traded? I think that's a conversation that's happened. And I think they've had their eye on, do we keep this person or do we get rid of him? I think Kuzma is one of those people. I think Rondo could be one of those people. I'm sure Quinn Cook has been one of those people. I'm sure Jared Dudley's been one of those people. Where they've just been like, hey, listen, if this is not working out, let's dump him. Okay? But we'll see. Pelinka has been working regardless. Yeah, that's something I just said. Agreed. Another G check. Let's see how they respond. Yeah, and I said this before, man. This team responds well when they get disrespected. What they don't respond well to is getting smacked and not being able to get back into the game. Like when they get down by 20 and they make a run, they get their swag back. But when they get down by 20 and then that 20 goes from 20 to 30 to 35, they don't know what to do with that. And it's very aggravating because you know they have the ability to just play with energy, man. Play with some zeal, man. Play with some especially against the Celtics. And they could not pull it out of their groins tonight. They left us hanging as a fan base. And what's funny is that really all of our attention has been on the Clippers for like the last year or two. So we haven't really been like consumed with the Boston Celtics. They haven't really been a threat to us. But tonight was very disrespectful for Laker fans. It was unacceptable for Laker fans, and I pray that when we come back and play them again next month in February, that we smack their face. I pray that we put them back on the map of reminding them why they will never be the Laker dynasty. Let's keep going. I don't think this game was the right time to bring Rondo and Davis. The Maria Show. Yes, an agreement. I said if at all, bring one back. Bring one back, let them get settled and implemented for a game or two, and then bring the second. But that's too much change into your offense to bring those both back in. I get that. I get all that, Devon, but it was against the Celtics. No, really, come on. Yeah, there's no excuse for it, guys. Like, I'm going to be honest. I would have rather taken this butt whooping from the Suns, Toronto, the Bucks. But to have this against the Celtics, and once again, these are the moments that make you not want to watch ESPN tomorrow or watch Undisputed. You don't want to watch anything on TV about the Lakers because there's going to be they're going to be such extremists. The Lakers are done. LBJ spent all his energy in the beginning, so now he is the Wash King. Are the Lakers a fraud? There's going to be a whole lot of that stuff. I don't want to hear it. This team is still as good as advertised, and they had a moment that they got rocked. They got rocked, and they needed to get rocked tonight, and it's going to be good. We need a backup point guard and defensive wing. Ideally, if I'm just being honest, if we just go with like a middle of the road, like this is good. If you drop a Rondo and a Cook and you pick up an Iguodala and a Collison, I can live with that. I really can live with that. If we were able to make that happen within the next month, where we got rid of Rondo, we got rid of Quinn Cook, and I'm not saying because I don't like Quinn Cook. I don't like Rondo, but I like Quinn Cook. But if you're telling me that I could get rid of Quinn Cook for a Collison, get rid of Rondo for Iguodala, now we're talking. Because you get rid of that Rondo piece and the Quinn Cook piece, you settle out the guard rotation better. So now you have LeBron running the point, Collison able to come in, and then AC's able to come in to relieve either one of those in sporadic minutes. And then you get rid of Quinn Cook and you bring in a defensive wing like an Iguodala who doesn't have to play big minutes. You still have KCP, you still have AC. They don't have to play big minutes, but what Iguodala can play is play crucial minutes. So when you're trying to keep the score close, or you're trying to make a run, or you're trying to, you can bring him in for situations, and his legs are obviously fresh. He hasn't been running basketball games yet, so he obviously needs to get his stamina up. But you bring him in February, by the playoffs, he's good to go. LeBron had a today, 7 p.m. Eastern. But he was at his son's game at 3. Oh, he had a game today at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, but he was at his son's game at 3:30 p.m. No leadership, no discipline. Max and Jay, he won. Nope, I won't say that. To say that LeBron James doesn't have leadership because he went to go see his son play that's not it. That's not the reason why. LeBron is actually a tremendous leader. It's one of the things that everybody agrees is that he's a tremendous leader. He has discipline, but he has also said, "I want to see my son play." And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm telling you right now, because Kobe has said this on All the Smoke podcast. He goes, "My family is above anything else." And had that little girl, Mini Mamba Gigi, been playing in a high school game, I guarantee you that Kobe would have done that. We watched Kobe go to court cases and fly back and forth to make games. Kobe would have done the same thing if that would have been his daughter playing in a huge game or playing in a game. He would not mix Gigi's games. I'm just telling you, there's certain things that we have to pull back the perspective and go, okay, for LeBron, his leadership is not lacking because he chooses to be at his son's game as opposed to being, he didn't miss the game. He made sure he was at both. This wasn't even an energy thing. To be honest, this more was just us getting smacked because LeBron came out aggressive. I was extremely shocked. LeBron came out aggressive in the first half. He was cutting to the hole. He was literally dribble driving, and there were moments where I was like, he's going to pass, and he didn't. He was going up, obviously missing, but he was aggressive on purpose, something that we did not see the last game, or actually 2 games ago. So I say that he has discipline, he has leadership, but this is a different season for him. This is not LeBron when he was 23. This is a grown man LeBron who has a championship on his mind and understands his body better than we do. So I think he's really waiting on that. So the Maria Show, we've known that. Nothing happened. Vogel got out-coached. The Maria Show. Probably. I mean, Brad Stevens is a tremendous coach. And Frank Vogel hangs his hat on defense. And tonight, when defense got taken away, he's not tremendous. But once again, guys, we got to remind ourselves. You're still talking about the same coach who has the number one record in the Western Conference. Like, we're not talking about Luke Walton here, okay? We're talking about somebody who has garnered our respect. But we have to stop doing as Laker fans, and this is not against you, Maria. I understand what you're saying. He did get outcoached tonight. Brad Stevens outcoached him. But what I do want us to understand is, and remind ourselves, is that we are going to lose games, and we're going to lose games badly. We're going to lose more games. We're going to lose double-digit games this season, okay? We're going to hit that 10 mark. There's another loss coming in the next month or two, okay? It's going to happen. It is not indicative on the team, or it doesn't mean that the team sucks. It doesn't mean that the players suck. It just means that we have some weaknesses. Once again, the Celtics just lost 3 games in a row prior, twice with a 1-game interval. Okay, that means out of 7 games, out of 7 games, they lost 6 of them. Okay, that just happened. So like we're talking about a team that's hungry for a win. We're also talking about a team that has been beat down just like we have. The Clippers are still title contenders, guys, and they got beat down by the Bucks. It's not it doesn't mean that you suck. It just means that there's some issues. I'll put it another way. Houston Rockets have had consistent issues from the beginning of the season. It's been the same issues all the way through, and it's showing itself all the time, and it shows in their record. We show in our record that we have only lost 1 game to a sub-500 team, and we really shouldn't have lost that game. We lost by 1. And outside of that, the games that we have lost have been fairly decently lost. They've been decent losses. This has been the one big one that was nationally televised on a holiday against a rival, and we got blown out. It happens. It happens. Kobe was horrible in the finals one year. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. I mean, like in the finals, I'm talking about the whole series he was bad. And it doesn't mean that he's a bad player. It just means that there's a weakness that he had to work on. He went back, worked on in the offseason, came back and killed him. Next game, but we need a third consistent scorer. Parada, you have to sound this out for me because every time I see your name, I say it wrong. But you are so correct, and I know they were relying on Kuz to be that guy, but he's just not that guy. He's just, I mean, he's a scorer, but he's not a consistent scorer. In fact, I will be honest with you. I think Kuzma does better as a first or second option. I think he's horrible as a third option. I think if you took AD and LeBron off the floor and was like, Kuz, go out and score 30 for us for the next 5 games, I think Kuz could do it. But I do not think he can do it when you have LeBron and AD in that game. I think there's something in him that just doesn't know what to do with the ball when either one of them are on the floor. And I understand it. It's just, once again, it's a different offense when you have AD on the floor, when you have LeBron and AD on the floor. LeBron is not looking for you, Kuz. He's looking for AD. In fact, if we're going to talk about consistency, LeBron is really looking for KCP before he's looking for Kuz. And he also knows that once Kuz gets the ball, he ain't doing nothing. He ain't passing that bad boy up. Stop with that BS. It was in Boston, and he had 15 to 13 better than the rest. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but I got you. Do you see Kuz working with AD back in the lineup? George Santiago, man, I don't, and I want it to work so bad, man. I really do. I don't want him to be Ingram. I don't want him to be I don't need that from him. What I just want him to be is like a Tatum. I don't want him to be like a consistent, just a dude who's just a killer, like the guy that we saw in the summer league, the guy that we saw in the first year. Like, I want him to be that so bad, but he's not. And what's funny is that they're talking a lot about what they've been telling Kuz that may be contributing to why he's not scoring as much. The veterans were talking about how much they've been telling him to value the things away from scoring, making the right pass, playing great defense. We just talked about the last game where he was asked by Rondo in the second half to play defense on your boy, and he played defense and he did it well. You know, he played it against Westbrook and shut Westbrook down for the most part in the second half. So they're trying to train him in other areas, because this is what I do believe. I believe that they're looking and they know that he's not going to be a consistent scorer. So they're trying to train him up in his weak areas so that by the time they get to the playoffs, Kuz will be much more valuable on the floor outside of scoring. I think that, to me, is kind of a good middle ground. If you know he's not going to be a consistent scorer right now as a third option, and you may not trade him, we don't know, you may not trade him, then that means that you need to train him and prepare him for the things that he's going to face in the playoffs, a place that he's never been before. Okay? This is something. This is like, even if he was consistent right now, you're asking him to go into the playoffs which he's never been before. And so, you want to train him up in things that are going to be necessary. When you get to the playoffs, scoring is not going to be nearly as easy, but defense should be just as intense. So they're trying to train him up in other areas. We'll see what happens. SK3K Music said, listen, man, that your emoji is exactly how all of us feel right now. Good Lord. George Santiago, AD played like he just came back from injury and Lakers forgot how to play with him and Rondo back. Completely true. Marquis Smith, they looked wary in poor doing. Laugh my butt off. You guys don't know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, don't be weary in well-doing, but they looked wary in poor doing tonight. They were fit to be tied tonight. PD. I think Davis affects the team. He was off. It's natural in his case. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we were all excited about AD coming back, but the truth is we didn't know what we were going to get from him. We had no idea what we were going to get from my man. We didn't know if he was going to be, the AD of old. We weren't sure. We didn't know what was going to happen with him. And tonight we just learned that he just didn't have his NBA self back together again. This is a long stint to be out, and you're asking him to get up for a big game. He was already on a limits restriction, and I don't think he's 100% healthy. Not making any excuses once again. It's just make sure that we have an understanding and put things in proper context for our own sleep tonight. When you go to sleep tonight, we're going to be upset. We're going to replay. We're going to see replays tomorrow morning. You might hop on your phone, and on Twitter, there's going to be a whole lot of smack talking. Fine. We also will be able to look at our standings and go, even after that loss, and the last loss to Orlando, we still don't have double-digit losses. And we're at the Grammy trip, guys. Remind ourselves, let's put ourselves back into the space of 4 years ago when we were begging just to get to 23 wins, begging to try to get to 25 wins. Let's go back to the days of the Kendall Marshalls. Let's go back. I just want to put you back into that space, the Smush Parkers. We've endured much worse than a loss like this. We endured losing to the Celtics on their floor, blown out in the finals. We endured that. And we still came out champions after that next year. We can do it. We're going to be fine. Are you a fan of Houston Rockets? That shirt you have on? Absolutely not. Just to kind of throw this in there real quick, I do live in Houston. I moved here the day before Hurricane Harvey. And then we made these shirts as part of our Harvey Relief Fund. I have like 17 of these things. Because we printed like 2,000 shirts, and I still have like a whole case of them. So I live in Houston. I hate the Houston Rockets, and I never will like the Houston Rockets. Even if I wasn't living here, I've hated the Houston Rockets. So, Philly, what you think? That's for me. Blake St. Clair, they better play against the Knicks. I can't handle that loss. Yeah, I think they're going to be back up for the Knicks. I think the Knicks won't be a problem. They'll really come on. Oh, hell no on Lance. Resign Van Exel. Blake Sinclair, you throwing out some names, Doc. Nah, man. Hey, Adele, my boy. Devon, say it one time. You trying to get me to cuss, man. I ain't gonna cuss. I will say this. Boston, I'll say it like this. There is no team in the NBA that I hate more than the Boston Celtics. Not one team. Not even the Clippers. If you asked me to put on a jersey and you gave me the Clipper jersey versus the Boston jersey, I would have a Clipper jersey on so cold because I cannot stand the thought of Boston even beating us, regardless of beating us down on the floor. But they are the absolute worst franchise to me. With that being said, they beat our behind tonight. They smacked us tonight. They smacked us tonight. And we got to go ahead and just be like, we got smacked, okay? Now, anybody who grew up and got beat in a fight, you can walk away from that and make excuses from it, or you can go and say, you know what? I got my behind whooped. Get yourself together and come back and whoop them back. So that's listen, if we get beat a second time, then I know there's going to be something mentally wrong with this team. That means you've lost to the Clippers twice. That means you would have lost to the Celtics twice. We ain't doing that. No, we're not. That's what we're not going to do. Okay, Marquis Smith, do you think Los Angeles Lakers' interest in D Rose press release threw their mentals off? No, this is not that team. They're too veteran. They're not a team that is shaken by trade rumors. This is what they know. They're being shopped. Quinn Cook knows that. Troy Daniels knows that. Jared Dudley knows that. Kyle Kuzma knows that. They know that. People know that. And this would not be the first time that their names have come up. Okay, so they're not worried about none of that. That's not what's throwing them off. What's throwing them off, I truly honestly believe, is that when they are so overly confident in their ability to come back that they don't get shaken enough in moments like this. When you get down by 20, the sense of urgency didn't even pick up until the end of the third quarter. Like, that's horrible. Okay? Like, but the reason why is because we've been down by 20 before. We've been down by 15. We've been down by 12. We've started games off 16-4. We've been down by 12 points or 14 points. Like, we've been in that space so many times already, and make a comeback and we win. It happened against Orlando. We tried to make that comeback way too late, but had we applied that same intensity in the beginning of the game, it wouldn't even, it had even been a game. But we are resting too much in. We'll just make a comeback. We'll be fine. We got LeBron and AD. And we rest on it so much that there's no urgency in the rotations. Frank Vogel didn't even put Troy Daniels in to start shooting threes until the third quarter. Like, that's bad. Like, when you know you have a spot-up shooter and you need LeBron to, your shooters are struggling and LeBron is an efficient passer, you need to give him somebody who can pass to that he can trust. And just, once again, it's just waiting. I'm going to let him work it out. Phil Jackson had a little bit of this problem where he would just sit and let things happen and he wouldn't do anything about it. This is not that NBA anymore. Okay, this is not that NBA. This NBA is a league that thrives, where teams thrive off of beating better teams. We have better depth. We have better talent. We are better all around than the Boston Celtics. But because they got back on us and they took that lead and they started beating us down, they ran with that. That fed them. Okay, a lot of teams, just to be honest, they don't feed off of getting leads on us. They become fearful. They become fearful because they know that we can come back. Celtics had zero pressure about us coming back. They could care less. They were like, we're going to stomp them into the ground. And because of that mentality, and combined with our mentality that we don't care, that came together and we got smacked. Now, when we get back on that plane and you watch those plays over and over again, and they get on social media and people start talking that smack, and they turn on the TV tomorrow morning at the hotel and they see Skip and they see Stephen A. and they see all these people talking crazy, they're going to come back at that Knicks game and ready to smack the snot out of them. I'm telling you right now. Oh my God, it's Demetrius Johnson. That name sounds familiar. Why can't he be the number 1 or 2 of the second unit? Ryan BY. Because, and here's the reason why. This is why I don't like the stagger minutes thing. That's a great question, Ryan. Because in our minds we're going, listen, let AD and LeBron run the first unit, get all the scoring, bring Kuzma off the bench like Lou Williams would do. The issue is that Frank Vogel is staggering AD and LeBron. So anytime Kuzma's on the floor, you traditionally are going to find LeBron or AD there, which changes the offense, okay? Which changes the offense. And so that's the reason why. He can't really be a number 1, number 2, because there's always really going to be an offensive challenge on the floor. When both of them are out, or he gets consistent minutes, he's good, okay? The Stars may not align like this. Out team and in today's game, where rosters don't cause over worrying. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what it means. But amen. Blake Sinclair, I was going to say more of a mini Suge Knight. Y'all crazy, man. Listen, let's get at I have to hurry up and get over with this because I'm way over my time. But let's just look at what we have going on. Okay, so far on the road trip, we're 1 of 1. I'll take it. Obviously, the loss didn't bother me as much as how badly we lost tonight. That was the real issue for me. And let's see. Wow. Let's see here. I'm sorry. I just happened to pull up the ESPN to pull up the schedule, and they said that Bronny had some trash thrown at him tonight at his game. It's just horrible, man. New York, we have New York coming up, and we're back-to-back to New York and Brooklyn. New York is a winnable game. Brooklyn is a winnable game. It would be good to be able to get those 2 wins in to get a streak going. And then it gets really hard for the following 2. Philadelphia on the road, which ends the road trip. They're going to be waiting for us. But what's good is that between Brooklyn and Philadelphia, we have that little bit of a gap because we have a back-to-back and then we have a gap. And then we play the Clippers back at home on Tuesday, the 28th. So this road trip is looking crazy, guys. I ain't going to lie. But if we can come out of the Knicks and the Nets with wins and then really battle well with Philadelphia, I'll be okay. There's no way to make up for this loss. This loss was just horrible. I thank God that we beat the Rockets, because had we lost to the Rockets and got beat down by Boston, we would have been jumping ship. Okay, so let's just look at the back-to-back New York and Brooklyn. I think by that point, AD is going to be good. That's on Wednesday and Thursday. Just giving you guys a heads up, I may not make it for post game on Thursday. I have an event to do on Thursday night that may prevent me from getting back in time. But once again, I'm 2 hours ahead, so we'll find out. I'll keep you guys posted via Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, here's my Twitter handle right here. You guys can just follow me on that below, and I'll let you guys know. But I for sure will be in the building on Wednesday night so we can get our mojo back, our swag back in New York. And what better place to do it than in Madison Square Garden, man? It's going to be fantastic. I'm so grateful for you guys coming in tonight and tuning in. I hate that we couldn't talk about better things, but tonight we had to deal with the reality of what we had. And so I'm grateful for you guys. Listen, man, if you haven't, please follow Showtime Forum. Of course, you already follow him on Twitter because you wouldn't have tuned in to this had you not. But you can follow us also in YouTube, and we have a Facebook page, guys. And you also visit ShowtimeForum.com. We have our own website. So all of those things, we want to see you guys in the building. I will see you guys again on Wednesday. Until then, signing off.